everyone. So in this particular video, we are going to learn about Excel utility functions. Okay. Now, what do I mean by that? So consider you have few of the data sets which is stored in the Excel. Okay. Let's try to understand for an example. Say I'm automating a very simple script of logging into the application. Okay. Now I may try to log in with different credentials, right? And I need to check if I'm able to log in successfully with different credentials. So there can be a correct credentials, there can be some incorrect credentials. Now, from where do you fetch those credentials? Like I can say that, okay, I have a class, I have a function, and I keep putting my credentials like string username here, string password, then the login. Again username, password, and then login. Again username, again password, again login. I can't keep doing that, right? Why? Why can't I do that? Reason. You can do that for sure. But consider you have 10 data sets, I mean 10 login credentials, or you may have 20 or you may have 100, right? So you can't keep writing your username password within your cases. So there is where comes the role of parameterization. Okay, so parameterization is something wherein you put your data sets, you put your data into some external file. Now, that external file can be an Excel, it can be a JSON, it can be a YAML file, it can be DB, anything. It can be a XML, it can be anything. Okay, as per your feasibility, as per your convenience, you can put it in everything. Okay, so today in this particular video, we are going to see that in case we have stored our data in Excel, in that case, how can we read the data from Excel? Okay, fine. So for doing this, we will need few dependencies in our project. Okay, so what I've done here is I've created a simple Maven project. Okay, now let me open this pom.xml. Okay, so in this pom.xml, you will see these dependencies that I've added. Okay, so this is the default pom.xml that gets generated when you create a Maven project. Now, there are two dependencies which I have added. One is POI, another is POI.oxml. Okay, you can get these dependencies from the Maven repository. Okay, so if you're creating a Maven project, you will be putting the dependencies here in the pom.xml file. If you're creating a normal simple Java project, then in that case you can download these jars from the Maven repository and add it up in your project. Okay, fine. So let's proceed. Apart from that, I've just created a simple class, right? Also, I have an Excel with me. Okay, you see here Excel. So it's a simple Excel saying, okay, username, password, and my some credentials, right? Okay, that's all that I do have right now, right? Okay, so now let's start with the code. That how can we read the data from the Excel, right? Okay, so the first thing that we'll be doing is we will create a object of the file class. Okay, so creating an object is file is equal to new file, and within this I have to put within double quotes the path of the Excel file which I want to read. Okay, so I have my Excel file in this location. Okay, so let me remove the slashes because it has come 4 times. We'll just need twice. Okay, fine. So yeah, so here is my Excel file. So I put the location to my Excel file. It's present in my desktop, so I put that location. If it is within your project, you can put the location accordingly. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to do is we will be creating an object of the file input stream class. Okay, so let me first import it. Right. Okay, so file input stream. Let me name the object of file is equal to new new file input stream, which would take file as a parameter, right? Okay, once this is done, what do we need to do? Okay, so there are 1 second. Okay, so we'll need to add close declaration. Fine. So next, one thing that you need to do, okay, whenever we are going to talk about Excel, there are few things that you need to keep in mind. Okay, so workbook, sheet. Now what do you mean by workbook and what do you mean by sheet? Okay, let's understand these terminologies. Okay guys, so this Excel as a whole, this is your workbook. Okay, and you see we have sheets here, right? Sheet 1, I can create n number of sheets within this Excel, so that will be called a sheet, and workbook means your entire Excel. Okay, so let me switch back to my Eclipse. Fine. So the first thing that we are going to do here right now is create an object of the workbook. Okay, so workbook is actually an interface. Okay, so we cannot create an object of interface, we all know that. So workbook is an interface and there are two classes. Okay, so let us also talk about that. XSF workbook and HSSF sorry, workbook. Fine. So HSSF is an older version which is actually used if you're trying to read a file with an extension .xls, okay, which is an older version of the XS, right? If you're working with the latest versions and your file extension is .xlsx, in that case you need to call this XSSF workbook class. Okay, fine. So let me create an object of this particular class. XSSF workbook. Let me name it as workbook is equal to new XSSF workbook. Okay, so we'll take this one and we'll take this, right? So once you have your workbook created, the next thing you have to do is XSSF sheet. So let me name it as sheet is equal to workbook dot get sheet. Okay, so you see guys, here we have two functions. Okay, get sheet and get sheet add. So you can either access that sheet via the name of the sheet or via the index of the sheet. Okay, so say if I say index, then for me it is index 0. Okay, as this is the first one, so you can say index 0, then index 1 and so on. Okay, if I would have taken the first one like by sheet name, in that case the sheet name would be sheet 1, right? Okay, so I'm taking get sheet at what is the index, so index is 0, right? Now the next thing that I'm going to do here is iterate. So I'm going to iterate to all the rows within the sheet, right? Okay, so iterator row itr is equal to sheet dot iterator. Okay, so what is this thing going to do? Okay, what is this thing going to do? This thing will help me to iterate within the sheet row by row. Okay, now as this thing will be iterating row by row, I can put a loop on this, right? So let me put a loop on while itr dot. So what does this itr dot has next do? This has next function validates if there is some data in the next row. Okay, so say you have 10 rows, so by default this itr points to the position one above the top row. Okay, let me try to show this to you via paint. Consider something like this. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so consider something like this. Okay, and then you have rows, right? I'm bad in painting. 1, 2, 3 and so on, right? So what this iterator will do? Okay, so that will point something here, right? And when you say has next, you should check, okay, do I have some value in the next row? Yes. Do I have some value in the next row? Yes. Next, next, and then no. Okay, fine. So I'll try to see if it has the next row value or not. Okay, so within that, what I'm going to do is, now it will be iterating row by row. So let me put a curly brace and then I can say that, okay, row is equal to item. Now, how do I fetch that specific row? So has next returns your boolean saying, does it have a next row or not? And dot next will actually return you the element of that particular row. Okay, so I have stored it in a variable called row. Right now, within a row there are cells. Now when I say cell, I mean these columns. Okay, these columns, I mean, see, if I'm saying this row and then cells within this row, that means this box, then this box, then this box, and so on. Okay, so similar to the way that I'm iterating to the rows, I'll be also iterating towards the cells. So iterator of cells is equal to row dot iterator. Okay, so within that row I should be able to iterate via all the cells, right? Okay, okay, I'm sorry, it should not be iterator, it should be cell iterator. Okay, so it will iterate over all the cells. Right now I will again put a loop here, like within the row I need to iterate within each cells. So I'll again say, like, till the time that row has some columns, keep iterating, right? And then I will fetch individual cells. So I will say cell is equal to cells dot next, right? So this will return me the individual cell, right? Now what you can do, how do you fetch the value now? Okay, so for that what I can say is csum cell dot get string cell value. But guys, please remember, get string cell value will return you the data in string format. Okay, so even if you have something called 123 stored in Excel, but if you have called get string cell value, it will return you 1234, but it will return you that 1234 in string format. Okay, if you want to get the data in numerical format, in that case you need to call the function get numerical cell value. Okay, now you may have a question that I have both type of data and how do I validate that? Okay, which function do I need to call, get numeric or get string, because I have both the combinations. Okay, so for that we have something called, okay, so let me put a switch condition here. Okay, switch cell dot get cell type. Okay, now what is this get cell type function? Get cell type function will actually return you the type of data that particular cell holds. Okay, so it can be a string, it can be numeric. Now depending on the condition, like for example depending on the case, say if you have case string, in that case what will happen, we can say that, okay, so cell dot get string cell value, right? Similarly, you can say if it is the case with numeric, you can say so. Okay, okay, I haven't put break and I was not put this one, right? Okay, so similarly, if it's a case of numeric, you can say that, okay, cell dot get numeric cell value, right? Let me put a break here. Okay, so depending on the type of data that you have, you can accordingly select that, okay, what, like you need to fetch the string value, you need to fetch the numeric value. Okay, Similarly, you can say that what should happen in the default case, right? So for default, you can again say simply string cell value, okay? Right, guys? Okay, so that's all. That's pretty much. Okay, so what are we going to do now? Let's run it, but before that, let's see if we have some exceptions. Let me save it. We have something somewhere. Let's see. Okay, this curly brace. Okay, so let us surround the entire thing with a try catch block. Okay, fine. Now let's save it again. Okay, so it is also saying to initialize variables. So let's do one thing. Let us put the entire code within try catch. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll put a try block here and I'll put that catch block here. Okay, so it should not be here actually. Okay. Okay, so that part is done. Let me also format it. Right. Okay, good to go, guys. Right. So let us run it now and let's see if we are able to read through the Excel or not. Okay, we see here username, password, UN1, PW1, UN2, PW2. Right. Now let's do some formatting. What's happening? What's happening is we are seeing each data in different lines, right? I want to see it in the same way in which I have it in the Excel. Okay, so what do we need to do? You see, we have put ln. What does that mean? System.out.println. ln means line. So you have things something like here, system.out.print, and you have ln means print it and then put a next line. Okay, let me remove this line thing from here. Okay, I don't want this line thing happening. Okay, so let's see what happens now. Okay, so it's not coming in a new line as we remove the ln thing, but now it's coming in a single line with no spaces. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's put some spaces. So let me copy that row. Okay, let us run it again. Okay, so we see with spaces now, but the problem stays the same. Like it is coming for single row, it is okay, but the data from different row is also coming in the same line. Okay, so what we need, the second row data in the second line, the third row data in the third line, and so on. Right? So how do we do that? Let's understand. See, here we keep iterating through the cells. So each cell data will be getting printed in the same line with space. The point where the row iteration ends, like see here. Okay, so it starts with a new row here. In this particular line, if you check, it starts with a new row. It goes through this entire while loop. And if I say about here, like end of while loop, that means it has iterated over all the cells of that particular row. That means what's going to happen next is going to move into this while loop again. Before that, what I can say is just print a new line. I don't want to print anything here. just print a new line. I put an ln statement. Okay, so how is it going to work? It will take all the rows here, right? Here it is going to iterate through the rows. Within each, it will pick up a single row here. Within that row, it will pick up each columns. It will keep iterating over the columns. Depending on the cell type of the column, it will print a string value or numeric value, whatsoever be the case. It will keep iterating over all the cells through this while loop. As soon as this while loop ends, I will put a new line and then again the outer while loop for the row start and so on. Right? Let's see if I'm getting my expected output now. Right guys? So here is how we can read the data from the Excel. Okay, thank you for watching this video guys, and do let me know for any questions in the comment section. Keep watching, keep learning, and keep coding. Bye bye.